Now, I want to go back just briefly to something that I mentioned earlier, which is the idea of if I'm looking at research papers, if I'm going through these databases trying to find good papers for my research proposal, how do I know which ones I might want to look into in more detail? Because I definitely don't want to read every paper that looks like it might possibly be useful. I need some way of, there's so much detail that would just take far too long. And the book actually has some very good suggestions about this in terms of how to go through and sort of weed out the papers that you don't want and narrow it down to those that are going to be useful to you. And I mentioned earlier that the title can be very useful for this, just because it is going to give you the briefest possible description of what the study did. So you'll be able to discard 90-something% of the studies you look at just by reading the title and saying, that's not something I'm interested in. So the title is one thing. The next thing after the title you should look at, if the title was good, you can click on the link in the database or whatever you're searching for. And the next thing you should look at is, of course, the abstract. If the abstract, again, looks good, then you probably want to skim two sections. You probably want to skim the introduction, and you probably want to skim the discussion section. Certainly when you're first doing your literature review and you're just trying to figure out which articles are worth downloading and saving and going into and potentially referencing in your proposal, then those are the sections to focus on. And they can tell you a great deal about whether the article is going to be useful to you or not.